So I got this comment today. I'm going to put this out today. And it was just on one of my gear videos talking about, how being in shape is a lot better than even having all this gear. And, that's 1,000% true. So, this is something I've been working on since Easter. Okay. It's like just one of those things where I've yo-yo dieted my entire life. I have binge ate and then got on track and then binge ate and dealt with all different types of depression and whatever else. And, this is just another one of those cases. I'm trying to find a sustainable way to actually get physically healthy and stay that way rather than just yo-yo back and forth, because I'm 35, I'm heading into my 40s, and at a certain point it's going to get harder and harder to drop that weight. So this is just this will explain the gap in the channel for 2 or 3 years too. So this is going to be long-winded. If you're not interested in hearing about weight loss or hearing me maybe rip some of the body positivity movement, maybe this is your turn to, find the exit on this video, because that's exactly what this is about. Not to be political, but, there seems to be some body positivity political crap floating around, and everybody wanting to, make an excuse for staying the way you are. Make an excuse for being overweight and things like that. And as somebody that's been overweight since... I've probably been at least 50 to 100 pounds overweight since I was in the 5th or 6th grade. I mean, that's how long I've been overweight, back and forth. And it takes a lot of effort to get on track and find a reason to lose weight, because you can sit around, and especially in today's society, everything is about comfort, and you can sit around and play video games and pack on the weight and binge eat like crazy. So for me, it was one of those deals where I had a kid, and this is about 3 years ago, going on 4 years ago. And, I was filming on this channel, and then I had a kid, and so that kind of took up time. And I did kind of get used to sitting at home, taking care of my kid and playing video games. And shortly after I had my kid, my mom got a brain tumor, passed away, and me and my mom were super close. So it was one of those deals where I slipped into some serious depression at that point, because I wanted my mom to see my kid grow up and things like that. So I had to deal with that. I had some anxiety issues and had just started some medication, which apparently, now that I found out 3 to 4 years later, Paxil kind of makes you have the munchies and you have less, shall we say, impulse control. So I was in a crazy binge eating cycle. I'm going to put some photos in of me in the gap when I wasn't filming for this channel. And, if you can lose 100 pounds, I've lost 100 pounds in the last 4 months since like Easter. If you can lose 100 pounds and still be fat, you were edging up towards the old vapor lock heart attack, where you blow an O-ring and have a massive heart attack, So I was between 450 and 500 pounds. Even just right at Easter this last year. So I kind of got to this point where I was like, I want to watch my kid grow up too. My mom wasn't able to watch my kid grow up. If I keep binge eating like this, I'm not going to be able to watch my kid grow up. So, and I just wanted to feel better. I was tired all the time. I was lethargic, and maybe some of that was the anxiety meds. And I'm not blaming everything on the anxiety meds. They actually ended up helping, because I was having panic attacks in work and all kinds of stuff, and just you walk around feeling like you're going to have a heart attack 7 days a week for a while. You want to do something to deal with it. And there's I want to say there's no shame in going and getting some kind of help. There's a lot of people that think that that's weak to go get help, and it's not. I'm sure your family would rather you get help and still be here 20 years later than to, you know, do something like take your own life, you know. Which I never really had the suicidal side of that, but I dealt with it by binge eating. Some of these more recent videos show me after 100 pounds of weight loss, which I look like some of the videos from, you know, 5 or 6 years ago. I'm actually a little lighter than I was then, but I think I'm taller. But, you know, there's a video on here that I'd put up of me cleaning out some barrels for like food storage preparation stuff. It's several videos back, over like maybe a year and a half ago, and I didn't even really show myself on camera. I was so big. It was like terrible. I wanted to get back into doing videos, and I wanted to start getting active, and you know, so I was doing food prep storage stuff, and we'd bought some barrels for Mylar sealing food, which we've done. And you know, there's a few shots of me in that, of just facial shots, and I am like gargantuan there. Not that I'm not still big, but you know, I was at a point where I didn't even want to show myself on camera. So, you know, if you look at these videos and you look at videos from a few years ago, I look generally the same, but the gap in between was bad, and it was crazy. So, you know, one of the things that kind of got me on track was listening to the American Glutton podcast, and Ethan Suplee, who, you know, he's an actor, but he talked about binge eating and sneaking food and stuff like that. And I did that crap when I was a kid, you know. It's easy to just excuse it, and, you know, if you're using it as a coping mechanism, it's easy to just excuse your eating, and you got to get real honest about it. Are you a binge eater? That's kind of a term people want to shy away from. It's cringeworthy. You know, I could eat like crazy amounts of food. You know, when I first started this diet, it was my nephew's birthday party, and they had it at a place called Fast Lanes in Northwest Arkansas, and they ordered this huge pizza, and I'm just doing a 2,000 calorie a day diet, so I can eat anything within 2,000 calories. So to me, I'm like, okay, you know, sometimes I have to make a sacrifice on volume because I'm at some event and there's high calorie crap like pizza. So I had like 2 normal size slices, and I probably had 1,200 calories in those slices, and that was my dinner. And people are like, well, there's plenty more pizza. Well, you can't do that. I mean, that was like right at the very beginning, and I turned to my wife, and I'm like, I could eat this entire pizza. I know I could consume the entire thing and walk out of here. It's crazy. And I know buddies that are smaller than me that can binge eat like that too. You know, I got a buddy that jokes about getting a shower beer, get home from work and get a beer and get in the shower, you know. And he's thin and doesn't, you know, really have a weight problem at all. You know, it's a curse that, you know, my metabolism doesn't allow me to do that, but then, you know, I like to eat on top of it. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you know, weight loss is as much a survival thing as any of these skills, you know, or having kit, you know, having the ability to do a bow drill, which you can't do if you're extremely fat. I'm still not very good at a bow drill, but I'm working on that. But like, it helps to not have your gut in the way when you're trying to run your bow and press a spindle down to the hearth board. You know, having 100 pounds less gut in the way makes yourself a little bit more functional to do that. You know, so when I got going on this weight loss deal, I said, I want to live to see my kid be 40. I want to annoy my child into adulthood. So that's kind of my goal. I started off, you know, when I'd go to the doctor, the scale would say error on it because it just wouldn't register. So I don't actually have a good, I didn't have a shipping scale, so I don't exactly have a good accurate count of what I actually weighed. But I think it was over 450, between 450 and 5, because I lost like 6 to 8 inches between my gut and the steering wheel of my truck before I ever registered on the scale. So I bought a scale that goes up to 400, and I eventually got down to, today I'm at 345. So the weight loss has slowed down to some degree, so I've had to increase activity. And that's kind of where the bushcraft thing, I'm like, I love doing this. I love messing with gear. My kid's old enough, maybe I can get her out and teach her some stuff at some point. and it's just become a source of exercise for me, as well as just something I like to do. So, you know, I don't have money for a gym, so bushcraft and doing stuff outdoors, moving rocks to build a fireplace or any of that stuff is my gym. I'm thinking about making some rope handles for cinder blocks so I can do some arm workouts, because my arms are starting to get the jelly on the bottom really bad from there's going to be a lot of loose skin with this, which is something I'm not really even going to worry about. I would rather have loose skin than die at 45 and not see my kid grow up. You know, there's things to consider when losing weight, but I mean, my advice in trying to get healthy, if you're a big guy, is just own it. Be honest about your habits. Find people to talk to. Like I said, American Glutton Podcast, his story kind of mimicked mine as far as the binge eating and the, you know, go get food for 3 people and eat it between the drive-thru and your house, and then eat dinner that your wife cooked when you get home. You know, that's the kind of depression eating I could do. You know, I could eat 3 meals worth of fast food, binge eat, and then come home and eat dinner and not even tell my wife. I used to joke that you know, there's that, I don't like country music unless it's like old country, but there was this song that it's a newer one talking about putting the bottle to his head and pulling the trigger. The only difference was mine was the Little Debbie's box. So, you know, when my mom died, that's what I kind of got into binge eating like that, and that's kind of the joke I make about it. But, you know, it's one of those things where if you want to survive, you're going to have to, if you're in a wilderness situation, you're going to have some level of fitness. Having all the gear and having all this stuff and knowing how to use it is still secondary to having any bit of health to have the stamina to walk out of a bad situation if you're in the woods. I mean, you know, if you have a compass and know the way out and can't even manage to walk out, it didn't really help you. So I'll probably post some updates on this over time, you know. I'm just as prone as anybody else to falling off the wagon here, but the goal is sustainability. Find something that's sustainable for you to do for weight loss, whether it's keto, which I've done and I've lost a bunch of weight, then yo-yoed back up. The only thing that seems to have worked for me is to find something to get me in that mindset. Listen to podcasts like Renaissance Periodization, Mike Israetel, which, you know, he's more of a bodybuilder, but a lot of the same principles, and doing things in moderation, as opposed to just cutting off, saying, oh, carbohydrates are bad or sugar is bad or all this stuff, when at the end of the day, it's calories in and calories out. So find your BMI and find what you shouldn't be hungry. You should eat enough to stay full, but that might mean that you're having to substitute cauliflower for mashed potatoes, or, you know, I weigh out portions of meat and like rice and stuff like that. We eat a lot of rice and sausages, so, you know, I look up the calorie count on the meat, find a portion of that to go with, like, I usually do 2 cups of rice, which is like 160 calories or something like that. Put some soy sauce on it or something like that for a dinner, and I can get full off that. So it's finding high volume, low calorie things that have helped me to stay within 2,000 or 2,100 a day. That's like my little grace period jump over of if I, you know, I'm still losing weight at 2,100 a day. So, you know, and having a little bit of grace for, you know, if you are at a family event, you need to have a plan to be back on your diet the next day. You need to have the food laid out, at least mentally for me. I need to have food ready for the next day if I'm going to have a cheat deal. Because like my anniversary was a few weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, and we went to Branson. We went to Paula Deen's. I ate what I wanted, and it tasted delicious. I haven't lost the taste for high-calorie fried junk food. You know, I love Long John Silver's and crap like that. I'm going to go elbow smash and Long John Silver's, you know, like Randy Savage off the top rope for my birthday, which is in like 2 weeks. So, but I'm going to go get some of that, and it's just a one-day deal. You can still have what you want, but you've got to know what's within reason, you know. And getting a mindset from listening to podcasts and stuff like that kind of gives you momentum. Once you've done it for a period of time, you will get momentum to, it's easier to say no if you've said no 45 times before, you know? So initially getting on it has been the hardest thing for me. Once I'm on it, you know, I'm pretty good to go until I let something get in the way. So and mindset keeps you from letting things get in the way and still allowing yourself, you know, a little bit of grace to do stuff. Sometimes my wife makes hamburger helper in the evening, and I still eat that, and I'm still losing weight. I'll eat like 2 cups of it, counting up the calorie count. For me, I usually eat like 750 to 60 calories for breakfast on a work day because I have a labor job. In the afternoon, while I'm at work, I'll have like 2 things of, what is that, yogurt. 2 cups of yogurt, and they're like 120 or 100 calories, and that fills in that lunch gap. Stay hydrated, and you know, at dinner I have like 1,000 calories or 800 calories. And I may end up eating 2,100 calories, but I'm still not binge eating. I'm still not eating 3 Little Debbie snack cakes between the gas station and the front door of my house and then eating dinner at night. You know, so a lot of it is having a little bit of grace for yourself and realizing you're going to have good days and bad days. But if you're not doing functionally the same things that you were doing leading up to that, then you're still not binge eating. A day a little bit over on calories from the limit you've set yourself is still not binge eating the way you were when you were so out of shape that you were out of breath, you know, before you started. You know, and getting that mindset was the most difficult thing for me. And, you know, even after my mom had passed, I knew the weight was a problem, and so I would hear, you know, even my mom's own words echo in my mind of, you know, because she was a big lady too, and her knees bothered her. And she'd be like, you do not want to let yourself get this out of shape. You know, it's like the old Mickey Mantle saying, you know, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd have took better care of myself. I'm trying to do that, you know. And am I ever going to be a small guy? No, that boat has sailed. You know, my calves are like solid muscle, and they're 24 inches around at this point. You know, you know, my upper legs they're really muscly, but there's going to be a lot of loose skin. There's going to be a lot of loose skin on my arms. So, you know, getting in shape is going to be one of the most beneficial prep items that you can do for your life. And even just health effects from weight loss usually happen in like the first 20-30%. You know, I had bad sleep apnea. I had high blood pressure where I could hear like, you know, seeping noises in my ear from high blood pressure, headaches all the time, joints hurt all the time, and the sleep apnea. My wife joked that I sounded like a chainsaw in my sleep, and I did. You know, I mean, I would wake my kid up re-inflating myself in the middle of the night. That all went away in the first like 30-40 pounds I lost, which is hard to believe because I had sleep apnea and been smaller than that before. So I don't know how that works, but and that's another thing Ethan Suplee from American Glutton talks about is the health effects are in like the first 20-30% of your weight loss. So give it a go. Find something that gets you motivated. Find something that helps you get on the track to being with your family longer. You're more able to provide, especially in a grid down scenario. If you've got yourself in shape, you're a little bit more conditioned, your joints aren't hurting, so you can, you've lost 50 pounds and you can carry a little bit more in a bag without being unreasonable. You'll be amazed how much more you can carry, how not out of breath you were, that you would have been 50 pounds heavier. So, and just walking, even going for a walk on top of your regular work day, your body gets used to the regular stuff that you do, so you end up having to do extra. And when your metabolism slows down after a success of weight loss, you end up having to do a little bit extra moving. But I would say, increase the activity and not decrease the food. Building muscle is going to increase your calorie intake to where you can eat more and sustain your body without gaining weight. I've just kind of been on the weight loss side of it, but I'm eventually going to try to get into the muscle building side of it. But I'm not looking to body build, but I wouldn't mind a good set of traps and some arms to get rid of the crazy skin that is inevitably on its way. So yeah, shout out to the guy. I forgot the guy that said this. I had been planning to make this video for a while, but I was like, man, what better time than today? I've got time, and getting in shape isn't as sexy as a freaking bushcraft knife or anything like that, but your wife might think it is. So yeah, getting in shape and is just as much a survival thing as having all this gear. So I'll just be posting updates. I know I rambled here and repeated myself some, but if you have questions or if you want someone to BS with about this, I will make it a point to reply to comments when I can at the bottom of this video about what I do, about what I eat, about how I, again, if you can lose 100 pounds and still be fat, you had a problem. I'm definitely still a big guy, but I'm still working on it. It's kind of a work in progress thing, but I will be glad to talk to you and try to give you some sort of motivation and help in figuring something out for you, because your body isn't going to work the same way mine is. You might do better with a low carb diet. You might do better on paleo diet. I'm just doing calorie counting 2,000 calories a day and giving myself a grace period, the 100 calories of if I've went over a little bit. It's beneficial to your longevity to get rid of the weight. There's a whole bunch of this idea that, healthy at every size, and that's not true. I wasn't healthy at, close to 450 to 500 pounds. I was extremely unhealthy. So, don't buy into that cultural hype about, I'm sexy at any size, I can whatever, do your due diligence and get in some kind of reasonable functional health metric, So with that, I'll just end the video. I'm ranting, but I thought that this was a good thing to bring up. So leave a comment, whatever. Again, I will make it a point to reply to comments on this as much as I can. If it's 5 years down the road, I will try. If I didn't get kicked off YouTube for saying something, I will try to reply and offer my amateur advice to anybody trying to get in better shape, even if it's just in a marginal thing.